Shanti Prima Satya Ahimsa. Dharma Shanti Prima Satya Ahimsa. Dharma Shanti Prima Satya Ahimsa.
Sairam, everybody, and welcome to today's panel, which will be about screen time, sleep time, and food time. I will be the moderator for these lovely panelists who will introduce themselves. My name is Anisha Guru. I am a young adult and a third-year college student. Nirmala Auntie?
Sairam, I'm a technologist by profession, and I'm a mother of a Group 1 student.
Ramya?
Sairam, I am a Group 4 teacher. I'm a young adult, and I'm a speech-language pathologist.
Rohit?
Saram, I'm a young adult and I'm a college student.
Amma?
Sairam, my name is Manjula Guru. I'm the mother of a Group 3, Group 4, and a young adult, and I'm a high school teacher by profession, and I'm a SSC2 teacher.
Lakshmi Auntie?
Sairam, I'm a mother of a Group 1 kid and a Group 3 kid.
As you can see, we have an excellent, diverse group of panelists for you today, who I do have to disclaim are not experts, but their experience as SSE teachers, parents, and young adults in the Sai community will offer excellent perspectives in today's section of questions. So let's begin.
యువకులారా,
Youngsters,
మీరు ఏదైనా మీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్కి సంబంధించినటువంటి విషయాలే ఉంటుంటే టీవీలో చూడండి, నేర్చుకోండి.
if there are any educational programs, you watch
అంతేకాని
TV.
ఈ సహజమైనటువంటిగా ఈనాడు చూపించేటువంటి యొక్క టీవీలు మీ యొక్క జీవితాన్ని పూర్తి పాడు చేస్తుండాలి.
What all that you watch on TV will be spoiling your life.
పోనీ మీరు ఎప్పుడైనా చూసినప్పటికీ భోజనాలు చేసేటప్పుడు మాత్రం ఇలాంటి దాన్ని చూడకండి.
You may see at other times, but never watch as you eat.
ఆ భోజనం కూడా ఏమవుతుంది, ఆతృతో తింటున్నాడు, దాన్ని చూడాలి.
Because in order to watch the TV constantly, you eat hurriedly.
ఇది తింటుంటే దానిపైన కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ చేయలేడే.
Because if he eats, he can't concentrate there.
కనుక నీ కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ ఎక్కడ ఉండాలంటే ఏ పని చేస్తున్నావు దానిపైన కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్
You
ఉండాలి.
should concentrate on the work that you do.
పని చేసే సమయంలో పని లోపల కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ ఉండాలి.
When you undertake work,
తినే సమయంలో తినిపైన కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్
as
ఉండాలి.
you eat, concentrate
మాట్లాడే
on it.
సమయంలో మాటల పైన కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్
As
ఉండాలి.
you talk, concentrate on
ఏ
your work.
పనికి ఆ పని పైనే మన దృష్టిని మార్చాలి.
So you have to concentrate on the work that you
నిజంగా
undertake.
మాట్లాడేటువంటి వాడు పని చేయలేడు,
Therefore, the one who talks can
పని
act.
చేసేటువంటి వాడు మాట్లాడలేడు.
The one who does cannot talk.
కనుకనే మనము ప్రతి పని ఎందుకును ఆ దానిపైన లక్ష్యం పెట్టుకోవాలి.
So we should keep in view every
అది ఏ
activity.
మానవుని యొక్క ప్రధానమైనటువంటి యొక్క కాంతి.
How Swami had encouraged children at a young age to only see media related to spirituality and education. In that context, time spent in front of the computer for educational purposes is always good. However, myself, as a college student whose institution was entirely online for the past 4 months, I personally believe, although it was for educational purposes alone, I've spent too much time on my laptop to the point that it's detrimental. While that's my perspective, Rohit, how practical do you find Swami's advice in today's day and age?
I think it's a little different now because right now in COVID times, it's kind of a weird example. But usually in every day, if you're going to use screen time, you should try to maximize it so that it's for educational purposes or it's, for spirituality. But now with COVID, even I'm in college. My last semester also was online. I couldn't do anything that I want to do, whether I wanted to see my professor in office hours or if I wanted to work with students on a project, or if I just want to listen to lectures or even studying. For me and for a lot of people now, many years after Swami's quote, almost everything is technology based. Right now, if my Wi-Fi went out, I don't know what I would do. I'm so dependent on technology right now. But I think even though I'm spending so much time on the screen, studying and doing coursework, I'm trying to take a couple breaks every couple hours just so I don't have a continuous, stretch, put strain on my eyes, and try to limit it as much as I can on my part.
That's great advice, Rohit, and I should probably start doing that for myself as well. Amma, Nirmala auntie, what's your perspective on this question?
I think Rohit really hit the nail on its head. As a mother of a relatively young child, I would say that there is a very thin line between entertainment and education, and it's very easy to go to the other side. So I try to err on the side of keeping my child closer, kind of halfway, trying to find that moderation. At the same time, trying to give and find activities that I can do with my child that don't involve the screen. And given that my child is young, I'm able to control that environment. So we'll see when we get to that stage where Rohit or you are in.
While your child may be young, I promise it's still relevant even at my age, as I'm trying to turn entertainment into educational purposes, maybe just by watching a couple more documentaries than action flicks. But we'll move on to the next question, which is about mealtime.
కనుక మనం భుజించే సమయం లోపల భయంకరమైనటువంటి విషయాలు మనం మాట్లాడకూడదు.
As we eat, we should never discuss horrible things.
ఒక ఉద్రేకకరమైనటువంటి విషయాలు కూడా మనం చింతించకూడదు.
We should never think of agitated matters.
మనం భోంచేస్తూ ఒకరికొకరు వాదోపవాదం చేయకూడదు.
As we dine, we should not argue with each other.
భోంచేసే సమయం లోపల సైలెంట్, కేవలం నిశ్శబ్దంగా భోంచేయాలి.
We should eat observing silence.
ఈ మాటల యొక్క తరంగములు కూడాను మన హృదయంలో ప్రవేశిస్తున్నాయి.
Because the waves of these sounds will get into your heart.
ఎలాంటి భావములు, ఎలాంటి తరంగములు మనలో ప్రవేశిస్తున్నాయో అలాంటి ఊహలే మనలో ఆవిర్భవిస్తున్నాయి.
Basing on the waves of the sounds that you receive, you will have the thoughts accordingly.
కనుక మనలో ఇలాంటి తరంగములను ఆవిర్భవించకుండా ఈ దృశ్యాన్ని మనం కొంతవరకు మర్చుకోవాలి.
Therefore, we should see that such vibrations do not originate within us, nor we entertain receive them.
టీవీలంతా వచ్చాయి.
Then we have star
ఈ
TV.
మనిషిని పూర్తి కూడా మసి చేస్తుంటుండాలి.
That is ruining man totally.
మాణిక్యం వంటి మానవ జీవితాన్ని మసిబుగ్గులకు అమ్ముకుంటున్నారు.
The gem of human life is just sold like
ఇది
coal.
ఏదో మాకు ఒక ప్రశాంతిని అందిస్తుండదని భావిస్తున్నారు.
They think that it confers peace.
కాదు,
No.
తాత్కాలికమైన ప్రశాంతిని ఇస్తుండది. నీకు చూచి ఆనందిస్తున్నావు.
It gives you temporary happiness and you
తదుపరి
feel
అది
happy.
నీలో ప్రవేశించి ఎన్ని విధాలు నిన్ను పెడతిప్పలబడుతుందో నీకు తెలియదు.
Later, as these things get into you, to which direction you go, you don't know.
ఇది తేనె పూసిన కత్తి వంటిగా ఉంటుండాలి.
It is something like a knife
తేనె కదా
smeared.
నీవు నాకుతూ పోతే
Nectar.
నాలుకనే కోసివేసేస్తుంది.
As you go on licking the sword, the tongue will be cut.
Swami told us it's essential to keep our minds serene and peaceful while eating food. We should not indulge in topics of discussion which will cause agitation and excitement and disturb our mental peace while we're taking food. Mental tension is responsible for ill health. We should also avoid viewing TV, videos, etc. while eating food, as they may cause mental disturbances. Now, can screen time erode away the significance of mealtime? And Lakshmi auntie, would you like to start?
Sure. According to me, it does, because I think we need to focus on what we are eating while during the meal time. Food doesn't just mean the physical food we are eating. It means food comes through all sensory, from vision, through what we are hearing, and then eating everything. So if we are focusing on something else while we are eating, I think everything is going in, and that is going to affect our brain. So I feel that it does affect, and we have to separate them.
Thank you. Nirmala auntie, do you agree?
Absolutely. I remember, well, growing up, my grandparents used to say if you are kind of not concentrating on your meal, you won't even know if a fly entered your mouth. And, I was jokingly telling Lakshmi the other day, sometimes I watch cooking shows on the internet, and I actually start feeling hungry, even though it's late in the night and I can't help my cravings. So I think screen time does work on our subconscious for sure, and it affects the quality of food that we eat.
That's a very interesting perspective, which I should probably keep in mind a bit more. Ramya?
So I'm actually a feeding specialist by profession. So this is my bread and butter. And actually what both of you have shared, Lakshmi and Nirmala, are actually accurate from the science as well. So when we are focusing on something external, like watching TV or screen, our attention is not on our food. And so we actually end up not even realizing what we're doing. And there are actually research studies that show that family meal times actually help prevent obesity. They lower the chances that children will engage in a lot of risky behaviors. They actually help with better physical activity, better sleep patterns. So there's actually research proving that. And while a lot of us kind of feel like, oh, the child will eat more when they have the distraction of TV, I would actually challenge all the parents there, and this is what I do with a lot of my patients, to flip that around and bring them into the mealtime so they actually are eating because they want to and they're enjoying it and not because they're distracted.
Thank you for adding a sort of scientific perspective to this discussion. Rohit, what do you think?
Yeah, like Ramya said, I'm really guilty of this. Pretty much my whole life, whenever I eat something, I'm always watching TV, and it used to be get to the point where I would look forward to mealtime because I would get to watch TV while doing it. And personally, I can say that it has had a really bad effect on me to the point that if I try to eat by myself, I get really bored because I'm used to that stimulation of watching something while I'm eating. So that's something that I'm definitely trying to work on. I'm just trying to focus on my meal without anything else. But it's really hard now that I'm really used to it.
Yes, it's definitely a difficult habit to break. Amma, what do you think?
I think as a parent, I never let my kids watch TV or read books while eating. That's like absolutely not. You want to come sit at the table and you eat, otherwise go away. Don't eat, you can skip the meal. Something I've been watching actually quite recently, because this last one semester, our school is physically, it's on site, so we go to school. But because of COVID situations, the students have to stay, even though I teach seniors, they have to stay in the classroom with the teacher and eat lunch. They can't go to the lunchroom or hang out outside. So what I find is kids who, for example, are on their laptops doing homework away and eating their lunch side by side, as opposed to kids who are just talking and eating lunch. I mean, that's all 6 feet distance, of course. Those kids who continue studying or doing their homework or looking at laptop, of course, they're not watching any junk. I can attest to that. By the time they finish the meal and they're going, you can kind of see that they're really dull. They don't feel that fresh. On the other hand, kids who have been talking to each other and eating their lunch, they are ready. They jump into action and they go for the next class. And I've had many kids, in fact, say, I feel sick when going off for the next class. It's because I think they haven't been just enjoying their food and focusing on their food, and their attention is diverted.
Even when my dad had his phone at a lunch table or dinner table, she would smack it away and say, no, spend time with your family, which I think is actually very valuable. Our next question pertains to sleep. Sleep requirement hours are closely linked to age. For children between the ages of 5 to 12, 10 hours of sleep is essential. Children between 12 to 18 years of age require 7 to 8 hours of sleep. With the spread of technology, one's laptop or Chromebook or iPad is the source of work and play for many children. So how can the adults in their life guard their sleep time? Rohit, would you like to start?
Um, personally, I've never had too many, gadgets when I was growing up until maybe high school. So my parents, took care to not have me have my own phone or something. And when I was growing up, that didn't really affect my sleep too much. Later on, when I had my own phone, when I had my own laptop, high school, getting to college, I found that I usually do my studying up late, uh, right before sleeping, and that's had a bad effect on my sleep. I think Ramya can also speak about like the negative consequences of screen time just before sleep, just before you go to bed. It's going to interfere. You're not going to be able to sleep well. So that's something that I have to work on. I have to make sure if I'm going to do my screen time, do it a couple hours before I go to bed, and leave a couple hours for my mind to relax before going to bed.
That's pretty solid advice right there. And I know that Ramya, our resident scientist, can probably talk a little bit more about that.
That's quite the title you've given me, Anisha. Yes, and I mean, I will say while I might be the resident scientist, I don't think I'm the best at practicing this myself, so it's a work in progress. But there is something called a blue light effect, and that basically the artificial light that we're getting from all of our devices actually reduces the release of our sleep inducing hormone, which is melatonin. And especially, and then that then impacts our internal clock, our circadian rhythm, our sleep cycle. And so the more time, especially with teenagers too, the more time that is spent, especially as in the evening times, the more time that's spent on your device and with this blue light impacting it, impacts your ability to fall asleep easily. So a lot of teens especially are struggling with sleep disorders, and professionals are really encouraging families to go back and look at what is their device hygiene, so to speak, look like. And I can attest to myself too, just with, I feel like more with COVID and all of that, when I come back from the hospital, I'm actually spending more time between devices and looking at the, TV or whatever. And I've been falling asleep on the couch more with the TV on. And my sleep is far less restful when I wake up than when I was in a better routine of actually going to bed and unwinding and being less device hooked. So, but that also means I have to get an actual real alarm now. So I don't use my phone as my alarm.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I only recently realized my habit of going on my phone before I sleep. So I switched it to trying to read a book instead, and it's actually helped immensely. So it's funny that I know exactly what you're talking about, despite not being the scientific sort. But Nirmala, Auntie, what do you think?
I want you to remember, Anisha, that I have a kid who in group one, so my experience
Yes.
are less compared to maybe Rohit or you. So that in mind, uh, what I find is it's definitely going to affect my child's sleep, and we've seen that. So we withdraw in the evenings. We don't allow our child to kind of take to a device at all, and the way we do that is we dangle our time. One of us makes time after dinner to spend time with the child. So the child really doesn't have a need for the device. The child is very happy. And there is more family time, there's more bonding, and they go to bed with that thought process. So it's, relaxing, and it's also storing some good memories in the subconscious, right? So we'll see how what happens when my child gets to the teenage ages. But
I'm sure she'll be just fine. I don't think you have anything to worry about, Auntie. But Lakshmi, Auntie, what do you think of this?
I agree with Nirmala, bonding with, we usually have our family time towards the end of the day, like talking about our day and what went on all through the day. Uh, so we try to that way it will limit our TV time or our device time from for kids. And I mean, I kind of experienced it while how it can affect my sleep, because I used to, after kids go to sleep, I used to go and watch something, and then how it affected me. So I kind of know the adverse effects of that. So I now I'm actually taking steps so that I am actually more device free by leaving the phone in other room when I go to sleep and not use that as an alarm. So
Mhm.
work in
That
progress.
that's really great to see that you're practicing what you preach. That's something that I think is difficult for me because I know these are excellent ideas in theory, but it's hard to break a habit like this.
And Anisha, I just wanted to,
Yes.
just add one quick thing. For those of you that have athletes in your family, whether it's as young, soccer or whatever, just keep in mind that kids who are athletic or in athletic events need a higher amount of sleep to reach their peak performance and to actually have higher accuracy in what they're doing. So just another tidbit, just because you're having physical activity as an athlete doesn't mean you need less sleep.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Amma, what do you think?
I agree. Now, uh, my daughters back at home, they're 14 and 15. They're freshmen and sophomore in high school. By the time we get home, usually it is about 5:30. And of course, we have dinner together, quick dinner. We say our prayers, have the dinner. And then By 6 o'clock, everyone is there with their books there. So my deadline always to them happens to be, and this was the case with Anisha when she was back in school too, 11 o'clock. Your phone, your laptops need to be in my room. I don't care if you have to study beyond that. 5 o'clock, I'll wake you up. That's fine. 11 o'clock, you have to put it in there. As a teacher, now same thing, I'm aware my students are likely to sit up the whole night. So what I tell my students is when they submit a homework assignment to anything, you need to submit it to be before 11 p.m. or after 5 a.m. In between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., you email it to me at Dr. Point. So I always see 10:55, 10:56, people are just piling it and throwing it in because they know Dr. Guru is going to do a -1. So it's just little things that if the kid knows they have to do it, they will do it. I know it's a bad habit, seriously, to sleep with phone next to you. That's something I keep worrying about. I think especially after Anisha went off to college, I've always kept the phone next to me at nighttime because I have a paranoid fear that she might call and I won't have my phone. But those kind of things do impact you. And therefore, yes, I think when you have kids, that phone, that laptop should not, if possible, be in the same room. At least they get to sleep.
The way that I see technology right now, with everything we've discussed, whether it's technology during a mealtime, technology during a sleep time, even with all of these negative consequences, right now, technology for SSE children, parents, everyone, all of the above is a necessity. So whether we like it or not, whether you view it as a right or a privilege, technology right now is a necessity. So I hope what we've all learned through this panel with these great SSE parents, teachers, and young adults, that technology is a necessity that we need to learn to manage with our children and with our students in a way that is productive and meaningful.